guys, it's IDW, and today we are going to be bringing back our programming series. Today we are going to be talking about ciphers and random numbers. So what is a cipher? A cipher is information that has been disguised to prevent others from reading it. A cipher works by putting the information you want to encrypt into a mathematical function. Let's use the simple example in which the mathematical function is to subtract 5 from a 4-bit number using 2's complement. The number 0000 can be encrypted as 1011. If you undo the function and add 5 to the number, you get 0. But if someone doesn't know to add 5 to get the real number, they can't get the original number that was sent. Commercial ciphers use an additional level of security, a passcode. The passcode is plugged into the cipher at some point. If the passcode is incorrect, the cipher cannot decipher the data. In our example, the cipher being used might be subtracting in 2's complement, and the passcode might be the amount you subtract. In this case, it's 5. This way, the customers do not have one password that everyone has memorized that unlocks information encoded with that particular cipher. That would defeat the purpose of the cipher. Before we go any further, there are two topics we need to quickly go over. Firstly, terminology. The public message is the encoded message that is sent through public places. The private message is the decoded message that is the information being transferred. Encryption is the process of converting the private message into the public message using the math like 2's complement. And the key is the passcode that allows the message to be encrypted and decrypted, like 5 in the example. The second topic is politics and ethics. The famous Enigma cipher that was used by the Germans in World War II is simple compared to ciphers that modern computers use to protect people's information. And the fact that the British government cracked the code was secret for half a century. They kept it secret because they wanted people to believe that the Enigma could not be cracked and no one else would try to make a more complicated cipher for a future war. It goes to show that ciphers used by modern computers would be acceptable for military application. As a result, governments and people who should have a right to access some information might be unable to access the information without the owner's permission. And this has enormous implications for police detectives. Governments might lack crucial evidence in a criminal case because they cannot access convicting information. This lack of transparency is a serious issue that you need to be aware of when considering using ciphers. You should consider the morality of what you are doing whenever you create or use a cipher. One thing you should not do, however, is create a backdoor or universal key. Creating a backdoor is like creating a cipher without a key. If anyone figures out what the backdoor is, then the cipher is useless. Which is why backdoors are such a bad solution to this disagreement between governments and cipher companies. If you create a universal key, you might as well not even create a cipher in the first place. If you want to hear more on this topic, I suggest you check out CPG Gray's video on the subject. It does an excellent job of explaining the issue. So, with all that out of the way, what makes a good cipher? A good cipher has as little correlation between the public and private messages as possible. Usually, creating such equations involves paying drooling mathematicians well. The more complicated the function, the harder the correlations are to find. The program we will be writing using encryption will, like our example, use 2's complement subtraction because anything more complicated than that is too complicated for our computer. So now let's move on to random numbers. I should all hope we know what a random number is. If you're not sure or want to be certain of the definition we are using, read the bullet. The important factor we need to remember about random numbers for creating them that we don't usually think of is that there needs to be no pattern between them. Thus, the average of the random numbers approaches the average of all the numbers you're choosing between as you choose more and more numbers. So where do we get random numbers? Well, there are two main ways. The first of which is statistics about the computer in its current state. The most common of these is the current time, but you can also measure things like the current speed at which the hard drive is rotating. Another source is encrypting a seed. If you create a recursive sequence where the function being used is a cipher, you'll get a sequence of random numbers. So once you get a number out of the cipher, you encrypt the result again to get the next random number. This is the method we will be using when we make a randomizer program. Speaking of which, let's quickly go over the Minecraft program we will be using. Rather than making a program that simply encodes and decodes a number we put in, I will be making our computer work like the Redstone Vault design that I showed off a year ago. We will be setting up a cipher that encodes a random number using 2's complement subtraction of a key. We will then display the random number to the user and the user will have to encode it. If the user encodes it properly and the result matches what the the computer calculated, we will say that the person knows the cipher and should be let in. If they get it wrong, a new random number will be selected and the user will be asked to give the correct answer again. We don't assume that they didn't know the code if they got it wrong on the first try because we don't know if they made a mistake or not. So that's about it. I hope you guys have enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.